Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
Scott.
Tonight we talk about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 20, Breaking and Entering, ...
Yeah.
Predicted a clusterfuck with some bait. And I think we kind of got that.
Yeah.
I think. Although I have to say, not as bad as I was fearing. I thought it was going to go much worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of imagine this this scene set up as basically he's got the museum mapped out, and if they go this way, there's these challenges. If they go this way, there's these challenges.
Yeah.
You know. And each turn, you know, team rival goes this way, and if main team gets here by this time, they beat the rivals there. If they get here by this time, this many rounds, the rivals beat them there, kind of thing.
Mm.
That's how I imagine those kind of
He didn't
scenes.
roll any dice. So, and the fact that he had the other team prone on the map in that room, I think he pre-rolled everything. If there was any rolls at all, because maybe there wasn't. Yeah. But we get a panicked casing of the exterior to start with.
Yeah.
And Ashton trolling the other team. Which aided Chetney in infiltrating them and following them.
Yeah.
And I think Travis's game plan with that was he's confident his teammates can probably get there. But in case these guys know something or get there faster.
Took the tour.
Yeah. He's going to be nearby to snatch whatever they take.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Which was a good plan. And he got to watch them fail spectacularly. Well, fail. We see the other team has glass cutters.
Yep.
Our team resorts to heat metal and hammer time. And interesting that Orem couldn't kick the glass and break it. I don't remember what he rolled.
It was really low.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, wasn't that when he said 2 natural ones? The first 2 natural ones?
No, that was the saving throw later. That was the saving throw.
But I know it was only like a 4 or 6 or something total.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was less than a 9. Yeah. But they enter into the dining room where they get sort of their first taste of the decor of the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's paintings of him standing in front of landmarks with a plaque describing that it's him in front of whatever it is.
Kind of gave me, I forget the name of the guy that did the unorthodox self-portraits, but he's the one of all the classical, like, beginning of the country memes where the painting guy, he's like the one where he's like got the thumbs up or pointing at the guy, or the one where he's like, all those memes. It's the same guy doing random self-portraits.
Oh.
Just you know how he would do these goofy self-portraits, and this guy's got all these things in him.
Yeah. Do you think those are photographs? But Matt described them as paintings because that's where their brain would go. And no one bothered to investigate.
Hadn't really crossed my mind, but I mean, we're getting new tech all the time at Exandria.
Well, they seem to be in color. So it wouldn't be like early photography, because that's barely black and white. It's more like copper and black, the daguerreotypes. So I don't think it's necessarily that. But the reason I ask is because what was in the bottom floor. So we'll put a pin in that for now. The main hall with the never-ending story statues.
Yes.
That's where my brain went.
Yeah, my brain went there. There was a couple of times my brain went to Goonies throughout this heist.
Yes.
It was just a very childhood movie inspiration, you know?
Yes. I wonder if the gnome inventor that he supposedly hired
Was Data.
Yeah, is modeled on Data, should they ever meet him. That'd be funny. Laudna uses her removable rod to trap the other team.
Yep.
Prevent them from getting into the main hall. Which kind of worked for them and against them. Had they not digged around so much in the kitchen,
Yeah.
they would have had the jump and the head start. So, yeah. Speaking of the kitchen, the cutlery trap. I am positive I have seen that somewhere else. But I don't know where. Dimension 20, maybe? I think it was Dimension 20.
Okay.
Not 100%, but I think so. But a fun, clever trap.
Yep.
For just using magnets, basically, and cutlery. They find the hidden door, cover the statues with the carpets, and Sam gets MVP from me for this episode.
Okay.
Find object, detect traps, dispel magic.
Yep.
And 2 of those are on the druid list. So Fern could have prepared them.
Yeah.
All 3 might be, but I'm not 100% sure about find traps. I think that might just be wizard, sorcerer, and warlock. But anyway, we also get, through Chetney's tailing, and also Matt giving them hints of what's happening in the other rooms. We learned that there's a hidden mirror in the guest room, presumably. The other room, the entrance, was a magical lock, musical lock, a la the Goonies. during the episode, when Matt describes the ceiling drooping down and grabbing him, that seemed like a mimic to me. But there didn't seem to be any other like attacks forthcoming. Or maybe Chetney just left before.
Yeah.
Or if it's a trained mimic, it's trained only to restrain. Maybe. But that's where my mind went there. Because like
I can see that.
I couldn't think of anything else that would look like a ceiling and droop that way. Because mimics have the adhesive power.
Yeah.
So. Our group keeps up with the trapping of things. Chetney invisibly strings the fishing line.
Yep.
And Imogen throws out her ball bearings. Which pays off spectacularly.
Yep.
When FCG, trying to deceive the other team, yells out that the way down is in the
dining room.
Yeah. And Chetney, seeing they're contained, decides, okay, well, that's where they're going. So he's like, first floor. Hits by the statues, slips on the ball bearings, and then gets hit by the statues again.
Good times.
I kind of wish Orem had set his trap and they had gone down before. Because that would have just been another... And Chetney would have had the Home Alone triumvirate at that point.
He would be Joe Pesci.
Yep.
And now I know who I want to play Chetney in a live action.
I was going to say he's too old, but he is and he isn't. I think he's in his 80s or 90s now. So, like, to look like Chetney, he'd probably be perfect. You can't be sending octogenarians around doing stunts. Star Trek Picard has highlighted that strongly. Yeah. Well, and then in The Force Awakens, when Harrison Ford, I almost said Han Solo, when Harrison Ford broke his leg.
Yeah, that's true.
Bad Robot just likes to put their elderly stars through the ringer, I guess. So that's why I say both just right and too old for Joe Pesci. But yes, that's now the first room the first museum piece that we see is a headdress and 2 suits of armor from the same culture.
Yes. The headdress of a Lith priest from the lost village of Hashari.
Yeah. And Matt, the second time he says Hashari, or Ishari, because I heard Ishari, but it might be Hashari.
That's what I heard.
He's like, not Ashari. And even before he said that, I was getting very much Sun Warrior vibes from Avatar. But he says to Taliesin, these look familiar to Ashton.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is something heretofore through the 3 campaigns. Lith, Priest, and Hashari or Ishar have not been mentioned.
Yeah. And Matt is the kind of DM that will use language to convey meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's Hashari or Ishari, I think they were the pre-Calamity version of the Ashari now.
Okay. I was gonna ask, do you think I was gonna use the term proto-Ashari.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got that feeling too. And the Shari, just like all swamp Yuris have been, still been swamp.
Exactly. So Matt definitely has precedent in his design for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first bit of foreshadowing of what lies beneath. Or further on and beneath. The next room is a frame from a beacon and 2 Jorhassian chitin
a
armor.
broken beacon.
Yeah. So potentially pre-Calamity elemental guards, tribal elemental guards people, the Loxodon in the very next room.
Mm-hmm.
Luxon, thank you. I don't remember what was in the room to the right. But that's where they didn't really go in that one because that's where the other team was unconscious.
Yeah.
They were just like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
The one that they went through was the Lawbringer Spear or something like that?
Yes. So was that a vestige of Divergence?
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Used by a great hero in the defense of Vasselheim. If that's not a vestige of Divergence, I don't know what it could be. They go down the stairs. Or no, they go to the room beyond that was the puppets.
Yes.
That is protecting a death mask that is found near dead bodies of generation of a dwarven family. Do you remember where is Shenandoah?
That sounds right.
Which I don't think is a place we've been to.
No.
It was mentioned in Campaign 2 as a potential place for them to go look for beacon information. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
So that's 2 artifacts connected to beacons, potentially.
Potentially.
They go down the stairs, conceal with illusion magic the entrance, and lock the door to that room with the movable rod. I don't think she's getting that back.
No.
Because as soon as the door is broke, they can just go click. Mine now.
Yep.
Down the stairs. First thing that's there. The journal of Vespin Chloros.
Yep.
An individual pegged as, blamed for, the beginning of the calamity, the releasing of the betrayer gods.
Yep.
And while Ashton expressed interest in taking one of those suits of armor, he didn't really do anything about it. And Fern played around with, being tempted to take stuff. The book is the first time that everyone at the table was like, because they recognized the name.
Yep.
And they're like, that's gotta be a fake. That's gotta be a fake. I don't think it's a fake. Given what is above, and if we're right about the Ashari, pre-calamity, two beacons, vestige of divergence.
Yeah.
That this task, presumably his two mage colleagues, handpicked these teams to be in competition with one another. And it's at this point the traps stop being restraining and fun and recoverable. He said, they're not deadly. They're deadly now.
Yeah.
As soon as we're in this room, the gloves are off. Chetney falls into a gelatinous cube. And clay golems are forming once they find the earring. I was struggling. Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. Vespin Chloros' journal is like, to me anyway, the how to bring down the divine gate if I were to do it.
Okay.
Like, that's what that says to me.
Yeah, like this whole museum, you're going through all the stuff, and as I was watching, I was like just thinking about all this stuff, and I was thinking, in Skyrim, there's the one miscellaneous quest where the guy is like, oh yeah, I'm the descendant of the whatever the rising sun cult, whatever the Daedra worshipping cult. Go find this for me so I can unlock the. Like, I'm like, is this museum just that thing? Is this just that quest?
It is the how did Dale described it in a certain way, Dale Kingsmill, and I can't remember the exact verbiage she used. But it's the kind of dungeon that proves your worth. Those are the alarm bells that started going off in my head.
Okay.
That this guy who's traveled all over the world has local friends, pick teams to see if they're worthy. And if they can get past all of these defenses,
Yep.
There's an artifact I want you to go get for me.
This is the interview.
Yes.
Yeah. We're on the same page then.
Yeah. But the thing, so they never followed the thread when they freed the Marid.
No. I'm still upset about that.
Is that the guy that lost this earring?
No, it wasn't a Marid, was it? I thought it was a Jinn. The heir.
Okay.
Because I distinctly remember thinking, and I was just about to bring this up, to get the earring, I wonder if it would work because it's tied to an air genie, basically. Orm has that little gust that he can do as an Ashari. Would it respond to the air, air magic?
Mm.
Could it be as simple as, fifth element, blow on the stone?
A clever thought, but I don't think so. Just because Matt all but said that this is some sort of magical elemental glass. It's the same stuff that Ashton's hammer is made out of. And all the magical damage that they tried to inflict did nothing. So I don't think magic is the answer.
Yeah, but this isn't damage. This isn't hostile. This is just like elements.
Fair. But I don't think if you're going to keep the artifact of a Jinn in a container, it's going to be one that the Jinn can't get into.
Fair. It was just a thought process,
Yeah. And the journal was potentially a link to Exandria Unlimited, Kymel.
Mm-hmm.
Because they found a bust of the Raven Queen with her real name on it.
Yeah.
So, if there's any connection between the two campaigns, it's that journal. Because if I remember correctly, that guy was around when the Raven Queen was ascending.
I believe so, yes.
And that's what kicked off Vecna. Because after she ascended, Vecna's like, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're interesting lore drop potential in that book. Do you think... So, in Campaign 2, I forget how they found it, but it was a journal or a book of lore or something, and they gave it to Caleb, and Liam's like, I'm going to read through it, and Matt says, I will text or email you the specifics so I don't bore everybody here with it. And we guessed that there may or may not be information in there that we'll never see.
Yeah.
It was the proceedings of the debate.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple moments near the end of the campaign where Liam seemed to be using that information.
Yeah.
Never said so explicitly. No one ever asked him why do you think this, or what have you.
Yeah.
It's when they were going through Aor. There were a couple times where he says some things, and that's because he read that book.
Yeah.
Do you think Matt has a document like that for this journal?
Yes.
I think so too.
100%.
Yeah. If we ever see any part of it, it'll probably just be like
So
an excerpt.
over several episodes now, but have a bit of a theory I want to run by you.
Okay.
And in this episode, Laudna, talking to Imogen, at one point says, "I would murder everyone around us if anything happened to you." Then she gets kind of nervous, says, "I shouldn't have said that," you know.
Yeah.
It's not the first time she's said something like that. And Imogen has stated that the reason she stuck with Laudna is she's the first person who the thoughts aren't always intrusive, that like she's quiet. And at the time, I kind of chalked that up to she's half dead, you know. But
You're quiet, Agnes. On the inside.
now hear me out. I think that there's a very Voldemort Quirrell thing happening. I think the reason her brain is quiet is Delilah is obfuscating some of those thoughts.
Mm.
I think Delilah is influencing Laudna's affection, letting Laudna think this is, you know, because Laudna stated she wants to separate herself from Delilah. I think that's what Delilah wants too, so that she can become a whole person again. And she's like the Voldemort in Quirrell's head.
Interesting.
And because the way she kind of just like zones out, it's almost like Delilah came out for a second, then she's like, "Oh wait."
If any of them were in a position to do that storyline, Marisha is.
Well, here's the thing. This could be like, she said, we're together in our backstory, you know, we've, you know, decided to travel together because I think canon, they've been together. The two of them have
3
been
years, I think.
3 years. Yeah, that she said, you know, and I'm thinking she can help me separate, you know. And Matt's the DM that's like, okay, well, maybe that's Delilah's goal too. Let's twist this on its head. You're back.
Yeah.
The other thing, why would they think Laudna's the one that, or Imogen's the one that able to help? Because she has dreams of Ruidus. She's connected to Ruidus. And if you remember going back to Legend of Talks Machnia, Delilah invokes Ruidus in the spell when she makes her husband a vampire. That's my out there theory that I came up with during this episode.
Yeah.
So, my speculation is that Matt has turned their backs, you know, twisted their backstory, and Delilah is trying to get out and be her own person.
So, Vox Machina
had to kill the bitch twice, and she's still here.
sort of fell into being heroes. They weren't quite reprobates or anything in the beginning of the campaign, but, you know, they all had their issues. Campaign 2, they're all reprobates. They're all
just issues.
They're all shady folks, and
nice save.
yeah, do everything they can to avoid getting entangled to be seen as heroes in any way whatsoever.
Yep.
And largely accomplish that goal. Very few people know what they did.
Yep.
And Molly was the instrument of doom in Campaign 2.
Yep.
I think Matt is, and the players have played well into it this campaign. I think you are exactly right. I think their activities are going to, on purpose or inadvertently, cause very bad things to happen. And largely because players will do things.
Players be playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the movie. You do not comprehend the consequences of your actions. Consequences, schmonsequences. Yeah. And the fact that she's seen many dead people in her dreams. They've talked about Imogen holding Laudna's hand when she goes to bed.
We've talked about it.
And Fern was all but ready to put her hand on that crystal and keep her hand in her pocket while she slept. I think we are drawing close. If you're right,
Okay.
I think we're drawing close to a moment where we will get an important piece of the puzzle. And it will be, I think it's sort of, I was going to say it has to be in Imogen's next dream, but maybe not necessarily the next one. But in whichever one that she tries to bring somebody in.
Well, like I said when they first talked about, like, she brings Laud in, Delilah's standing there holding Laudna's other hand.
Yeah. Or worse, she's not, and she comes out of the storm.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling. Because I think that's narratively more juicy. Or maybe something like she sees something going from Laudna. Or like black tendrils are going in the storm. And they become taunt. And then out of the storm comes Delilah.
Very much, since apparently dead people show up on Ruidus for the storm.
Yeah. We don't know. So according to the his name starts with me, I'm blanking on it. The guy that was with the Loomis twins. When they were in his observatory, he was talking about how Ruidus doesn't seem native to their sphere, or however he put it.
Right.
And we've talked about how Ruidus may be some kind of anchor for the Divine Gate in some capacity. that the Betrayer gods may be imprisoned there.
Yeah. The Chain of Oblivion specifically.
Yeah. Which would put Vecna there as a servant of the Chain of Oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
And Delilah. So.
And Oban.
Oh, yeah.
Whichever version of him.
Well, he'd be the Punished.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that would be... How... Oh, man. How would Matt do that? Reintroduce Oban the Punished. Because they are almost of a level to be able to fight him. But that would be a fun little... A fun hint encounter that would tie the three campaigns together. And do it in such a way that the players might not understand at first.
Yeah.
And they may take a few rounds for them to put it together, like, wait a minute. Because I don't think whatever the setup is, Oban is not going by Oban.
No, he'll go by whatever the moniker is.
Yeah.
And it'll take him a while and they'll figure out, oh shit, this is Oban version 3.0.
Yeah. Because they never went to the Abyss to kill him properly. Oban had a thing about finding places of information in libraries and going in and taking the information.
Mm-hmm.
He may be the first mini boss on Orum's quest to find out what happened.
Maybe.
Which has a nice campaign 1 symmetry with the Rakshasa being after Vex. To have Liam be the one with the extraplanar enemy. The Infernal.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be facing a difficult encounter on Thursday.
Yes.
Because Clay Golems, I think, are CR 5 or 6. Which means, in theory, one of them could take on a party of 4. So to have 2 of them here, they may...
Well, it is a party of 7, so...
Yeah. But they may be regretting the grief they've been giving the other team.
Oh, yeah.
Because the other team might go, nope, you guys can deal with that. We'll wait until...
Oh, yeah. That's part of the rival mechanics. Like, I was watching a D&D Beyond about and it's like, how you treat them will determine whether it's like a friendly rivalry and you guys help each other out, or they're like, nope, screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm worried about is I think a lot of them are low on spell slots.
FCG has 3 first-level slots, no second-level slots, and I think a third.
Okay.
Maybe 2/3. Oh no, they're only 5th level, so I think only 1.
At most, he would only have 1 at 5th level.
Yeah. Imogen has Yeah, Rose. Yeah, the rivalry. Yeah, with the Goblin. Yeah, exactly. I think Imogen has all of her first level spell slots. I think she's down a second, and I think she still has her third.
Does she have third level spell slots?
Yeah, because she's all sorcerer. Imogen.
Oh yeah, okay.
Laudna. Has 1 or 2 spell slots.
Yeah.
First level spell slots.
And more than a few of them are wounded.
Yul Chetney is barely bloodied. Barely above bloodied.
Yeah.
Orem took his second wind already.
Mm-hmm.
And his action surge.
Mm-hmm.
But he has all of his maneuver dice. He hasn't used any of his maneuvers yet.
Yeah.
Fern is down both her second level spell slots and her third level spell slot because she cast Dispel Magic. Or no, so FCG's down his too.
Yeah.
I think Fern still has all of her first level spell slots. Ashton's used presumably 1 rage.
Yeah.
To get out of that web trap. So he still has 1 left.
Well, no, he's got 3 now, doesn't he? At 5th level?
You might be right.
So
It might
we
be
would have
3.
2 left.
But regardless, he does have at least 1 rage left.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be a really rough fight for him.
Trying to. I'm trying to think what elemental damage type heals clay golems, and I can't remember offhand. Because flesh golems, lightning heals them. Iron golems, fire heals them. And I can't remember what clay golem, or stone golem for that matter, what the damage type is. But that will be a rude awakening when they do that and it heals them. Yeah, I think FCG is going to be on heal duty.
Yeah.
I think everything he cast up until that point made him MVP in this last episode. But if it's going to be a combat with 2 clay golems, he needs to be... And really it's going to be... Orem and Chetney that he's going to have to be focusing most of his healing on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know that the rivals will go in against them.
Yeah, I don't think they flank them per se. I think they wait until either Bell's Hells are basically wiped out.
I think they give them minimal support and use them as meat shields and try to grab the earring before them.
Yeah. And we know they have glass cutters, so if anyone has the means to get into that case, it's them.
Yeah.
So I think if the rivals are involved at all in the fight, it's once Bell's Hells have joined, the fighting is going on, and they just kind of go bing, 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 bing. Whoop.
Yep.
And
It becomes a skill challenge within a combat.
Yeah, which I've done before. I don't think I did it great though, but it was a ambitious idea.
Yes.
To try to do some sort of to give the impression of a mass combat of going through many foes and many layers of the starship to get to their goal.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you think it's piercing or slashing that the box is not resistant to? Or do you think it just resists all weapon damage and is immune to magic damage?
I think so.
Oh, Jangdur, that's an interesting point. Matt has let them get away, and they've generally helped when they're with somebody.
Yeah, I think the concept of rivals is not that it's kind of a one-upmanship, but I still think I agree. That's why I said they would either help or just use them as minimal support.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's kind of the design of the rival mechanic.
Yeah, Rose, you make a point. They have been total dicks to them.
Which is why I say.
And importantly, one of the two behind them is the goblin that Ashton threw off the wall into the roses. And that Chetney tripped them. Both of them. So if it was the other three, maybe there'd be some help involved.
It's one of those, give me your hand. Give me the lamp first.
Oh, yeah. First, give me the lamp. What are you doing? Giving you your reward.
You're just. Yeah. So remember, if your DM introduces the rival mechanics, be a little friendly towards them. They could come in handy later.
Be careful who you step on the way up, because that's who's going to kick your ass on the way down.
Yep. Because they're in a better position to shake the ladder.
Yeah. Russia's military is learning.
Yes, they are.
Sorry, that was a tangent to go on. But yeah. Yeah, I do think they're gonna... I mean, they'll defeat the clay golems. I don't have too big a doubt on that. And I think if they're both there at the end, to keep them as rivals, it would make sense for him to offer this job to both. And whoever can complete the job will get whatever reward he's offering.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's too much of this that it's too prove your worth. And there's too many pre-calamity artifacts here that it doesn't in some way plug into the collapse of the divine gate, which is what every betrayer god wants.
Right.
So, yeah, and again, their name, They have made an ally of the Betrayer gods in the choice of their name.
Yeah.
And I think when this campaign does the wrap up, and they sort of go and talk about the name again, Matt's going to have a similar story as campaign 2 with the Mighty Nine and how 9 became the joke and 3 sets of 3.
Yep.
And like unintentionally, numerology played such a big part of campaign 2. Their choice of names, I think, is going to have proven to be prophetic for what's in store. And it will become a question of, and really that's sort of, do you think Matt plans for this one to go to tier 4? Because if he plans for it to go to tier 4, then when the players hit 10th or 11th level is when they should succeed in whatever evil plot the powers that be have them doing to unleash, so that now...
It's hard to say. I kind of think so plot-wise, but I think, like, the dropping at tier 3 like we did in campaign 2 is the give and take for starting at the lower level rather than starting the stream at 8, so they're roughly the same.
I see what you're saying. But I'm convinced campaign 2 ended when it did because they needed to be playing campaign 3 when Legend of Talks Machnia launched.
It could be.
So, yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. Episode this Thursday. We'll be out here next Tuesday talking about it.
Yep.
The talk show's not tonight.
No.
No.
It's the first
Tuesday
of each month. Yeah. So it's the Tuesday after the dark week.
Yeah. I might eventually remember that. We'll see. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you guys next week.